Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to Unravel Uplift.
Another Wednesday. Today, we have something a little bit different. We're going to put a spotlight on some of Claire's talents and initiatives, and we're going to talk about coaching. And we're not talking about coaching like sports, like a typical coach. We're talking about like life coaching. We're talking about what that means and how to explore it. And we're going to break it down. We're going to unravel coaching today.
It's so funny you say that because every time I say that I've been studying my coaching certificate, everyone thinks that I'm suddenly going to be out there limbering up and coaching all of these sports teams. And it's not.
I can see that though, because you guys are heavy into the sports and your husband has a rugby.
Yeah, he coaches
company.
that voluntarily.
Yes. So that is probably, it comes to a lot of people's mind, but this is a different kind of coaching. So
it is. And so I suppose I'll start there really with what coaching is. Coaching is an opportunity to hold space for someone. And I'm talking right now as the coach, holding space for someone so that they can direct where they want to go and almost engage as a thinking partner with me so that they can navigate their landscape. So they bring everything to the session. They are the ones who have all their answers. The role of a coach really is to listen, hold space, and ask questions, to be curious, to assist the movement of going forward.
I like that thinking partner. I think that really helps people understand what that is.
Yeah.
No, that's really interesting.
I think just going through the course itself, and I can give a little bit of context as to why I did this. So, when I lived in the UK, I used to work with individuals through charities to help couples overcome marital differences, relationship issues. I also used to help children in need. They would call a helpline, and I would help work them through those issues. And then I kind of took a big swing to some other area where I was running stop smoking programs, helping individuals with like healthcare awareness, so kind of that health promotion space, and kind of fell away from the whole, I'm going to say, counseling side of things. And then as I've got older, I've been more and more intrigued in my day job. Part of my day job was running assessments with executives at my firm, and I got more and more intrigued in this. So I decided to put myself through my coaching certificate, which has been really eye-opening.
Yeah. So I can speak to how this has evolved for Claire and I. So when Claire was trying to get her certificate, she came to her friends and said, "Hey, I need to practice. And would you guys be interested in doing some coaching sessions with us?" And of course, we're all like, "Yes, of course, we'll help you." And I remember like the couple days leading up to our first session, and I was like talking to my husband. I'm like, "What am I going to talk to Claire about?" Like, we're friends, and I'm like, I don't know, is it like therapy or like what do I need to get coached on? And I really didn't know what to bring to the table. I think I actually Googled, what do people get coached on? Because I didn't know, and I wanted to dial it in. I wanted to make sure Claire had like some depth or some content to work off of. I didn't know what I should be bringing to the table. And so I decided like to talk about just like overall goals. And I will say that it was the best experience. Now, I've done therapy in the past, like as a child, like parents, when they got divorced, part of that prerequisite was to go to therapy and talk about all your feelings. So I'm a big advocate of therapy. I think that people need that non-biased third party to really like lean into and dig deeper into things. But since then, I haven't pursued any kind of therapy or coaching. So like a first session, I remember like, I think Claire asked me, I think you asked me a couple questions like to set the stage or standard of what we were going to talk about. And it was just like a verbal vomit. It felt so good just to say the things that I said. And none of it was like that deep or that like heavy, but just to have that thought partner. And then you're really good at saying, like, once you're talking, Claire's really good at saying, like, what I'm hearing is, like, she'll pull key phrases out of the conversation. And I didn't even realize that's what I was really saying or what I was projecting. And it really makes you think differently about, things that you're doing in your life or your trajectory. And it was so good. Like our sessions, I love them so much. They were so good and I got so much out of them. And it really set the standard and pace of what my reality was and really where I wanted to go. I definitely was having moments where I was caught up in my head and that it was a lot of noise that was unnecessary. And you helped me through that. And so that was amazing. So huge fan of coaching. And so let's talk about a little bit more about, you know, the certification, what it means, the kind of things people would come to you for, and the different types of coaches that there are.
So that makes my heart really full there as well, just to hear that you enjoyed it, because
so much,
I think as I started on this journey, that's what I think most people I have come across within that coaching industry, whether it be my teachers, whether it be my peers, because we also do a lot of peer-to-peer coaching so that you can kind of really hone in on your skills. And so, you come across a lot of people. I mean, I have connections across the whole world now, and we're all on this International Coach Federation training program, which I think is very important to mention because it's an industry, unlike therapy, that has not in the past been as heavily regulated, but it's becoming more so. And I think just one thing I want to kind of touch on is that therapy is very in the past focused, whereas coaching is very forward focused. And I think that's one thing that differentiates it. Now, I'm not going to say to you that when, someone's coaching, you don't touch the past. You do,
Right.
it's part of who we are. But really digging and exploring that past and what it meant for you is more of a therapy session than it is a coaching session. And I felt really odd. So I started this course. I had to do my research as to where I was going to do it. Obviously had to fit in outside of work hours. It was kind of a heavy lift, but my team were really supportive of me doing it. They knew it was kind of like a personal thing that I really wanted to achieve. And hopefully some of my skills also work in my day-to-day job as well from what I've gained from there. But I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I have to get pro bono hours and I need people to do this. And I remember feeling really odd about, okay, my friends are my friends. Do they really want to tell me stuff? And, how comfortable are they going to feel doing that? And I think that's one key thing about, being a coach as well, is that confidentiality is highly, highly important, as is offering a judgment-free zone, because we, as human beings, we all have our own thoughts on things. And I think part of being the skill of being a coach is really acknowledging that things in a session might speak to you, but you don't allow that voice in,
right?
Because it's not my session,
right?
It is my coachee's session. So I think that's one of the one of the real key things I learned through the structured and bigger kind of program that I've been doing is that's really important.
Yeah. So I know that like if I'm on LinkedIn, like there are so many like coach this, coach that. And I do like the premise that it's forward thinking, that it's goal oriented. If you're looking to, climb the ladder in your career or there's, excel at other goals that you may have. If you're stuck in a rut, I feel like that's where coaching can really be strong. And I think that forward thinking is really goes back to how we started this podcast. Because we had goals and initiatives that we wanted to achieve. And then we have talked to you guys in episode 1 and 2 about what is holding you back. And sometimes we talk about getting that accountability partner who might be in your personal life, but you might need a professional or someone who, can help you through that and that to break that barrier beyond where you're at. Because if you are having troubles meeting your goals or getting to where you want to go, you have to self-reflect and say, what's in the way of that? And a lot of times it's yourself, and I think that's sort of the cool thing about the coaching is you can break those barriers together. And so many times, and I've said this to you so many times in our coaching calls where I know the answer. Inside, you know the answer yourself. It's not that your coach holds all the answers for you.
We hold none of the answers.
But they just help you pull that out and sort of slap it right back in your face and be like, I heard you say this. Is that, and then you're like, oh, right. Yeah. It's those moments, those aha
It
moments that you
is.
have with that,
Hmm.
partner, your coach that's helping you through that, that really help, I think, to set the stage for you moving forward.
And I think you touched on some really good points there, Jen. Like, as a coach, we are very much taught to hold the space.
Mm-hmm.
And many people, I think this is kind of where it's difficult for coaches in the world, whether you be an executive coach in a corporate company, whether you be a traditional life coach, that might be around wellness, or, there's very niche markets. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a whole spectrum, working from with young kids, working with people that have had trauma. I've met so many different coaches as I've gone throughout this and realized it's a huge, huge landscape
Mm-hmm.
with lots of different portfolios and profiles. But I think we typically hear about executive coaching.
Right.
But one of the things that you realize very quickly is that the coachee does have all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
We are merely there to help them in their journey,
Right.
and to hear them and to reflect and to help them hold themselves accountable. Because even as a coach, we're not holding you accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable for it
Right.
to be successful. And I think, this industry where it's not so regulated, sometimes there's a fine line between, am I being coached or am I being told? And I think some people are consultants in this space. And I'm not saying there's not a place for that. I feel like some people are looking to be told, they're looking for that expert. But that certainly is not coaching.
Right.
You come into a coaching session and you bring your own thoughts and you work through them, and the coach is there to be your thinking partner in
Mm-hmm.
that space and hold the space for you to
Right.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So then what is right now? I know you
Mhm.
talked about your past. What is your specialty now?
Yeah. So I really enjoy having conversations around transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And that can be anything from midlife, that can be empty nesting,
Yeah.
blended relationships, um, marriage breakdowns, um, confidence issues. Like, I feel as women, we can cycle.
Yeah.
We may be very confident in our 20s or not. And then we almost go through cycles where that confidence gets eroded. And, just trying to find that inner voice again, that inner confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So I really enjoy those kind of areas. But I mean, coaching generally, I mean, it's so wide and vast.
Right.
But when you go in this coaching space, you're kind of told early on from your teachers, try and find something that you really enjoy, that you really like,
Mm-hmm.
have a passion for, that you feel is your niche. It doesn't mean you have to be an expert on it.
Right.
That,
Yep.
it's, but it's just those areas that really pique your interest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I've seen fitness coaches, and not actually the training part,
Hmm.
but maybe just like you want to be in better shape, or it's about wellness or longevity,
Yeah.
or just like the mental toughness. I mean, there's a coach for everyone.
There are.
Yeah, it seems like it's becoming very, very popular, which is a wonderful thing. Like
Yeah.
I think, and maybe we touched this on a previous episode, that there was this taboo of
Hmm.
therapy or coaching, that, oh, you can't handle this on your own, or you would be sort of secretive about you seeing a therapist or seeing a coach because maybe it showed a weakness, that you needed someone else to help you. And now it's so in vogue. It's so mainstream to have a therapist. It's so mainstream to have a coach to, help you along your journey. So I love that it's becoming so modern day and accessible for so many people.
Yeah, I love that too. And yes, it's really interesting in my peer to peers, and just my network of, like, you know, folks that I've worked with, the, like any kind of professional development
Mhm.
that you're doing, you stay in touch with people that you kind of really hold in great esteem. And it's interesting the different areas that they all focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a fascinating environment, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. And like you said, globally for you, that, you're
Yeah,
talking to people over the world that are
yeah.
in different
Hmm. But
trades.
even just in my day to day, I feel like the skills I've hopefully learned
Mhm.
from from the coaching course, are to really consider asking the right question. I think you mentioned there's a lot of noise.
Yep.
And there's a lot of noise out there in whatever you're doing. But I feel like, in my day job, there can be noise. And I find that I'm able to really listen and focus on what I think is the right question that might get us to resolving something or to the answer on something quicker.
Yeah.
So I think, those kind of things come through as well. Even with the kids, actually, I might hear them say something repeatedly
Mm-hmm.
in that, because they can be very excitable, they can be very hormone driven,
Yes. Yep.
emotional, and, just sometimes just trying to listen and hear the words that they're repeating.
Mm-hmm.
Because I always feel like if someone's repeating a word, then that's probably something that they're holding true to their values or something that's important to them.
Yeah, that makes
So,
sense.
I think even as parents, we can really start to think about hearing others.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we talked about all different types of coaching. Why do you think that some people overlook coaching, or why do you think they don't think it's for them? Is it just lack of knowledge? Or maybe it was my situation where I'm like, I don't even know what I talk to a coach
Yeah.
about.
So it's interesting. I think some people just feel like it's very out there
Mm-hmm.
and airy fairy.
Yes.
And I think that's why we hear so much about the executive coaching, because I feel like people take it seriously if you
Mm-hmm.
have a CEO of a firm
Yep.
having coaching, because it must be something that if a CEO or a firm is willing to pay for, then it's got to be good.
Right.
I think we put all of these things in a lens, right?
Right.
That we are like, okay, if it's something that someone's going to add a dollar value to, and someone important is going to do it, then it must be an important thing. I think, personally, COVID taught me so many things, just taking that step back from the day in, day out craziness that I think actually a lot of us gone back to. And I know myself, I was like, I am going to change things.
Yep.
And
Life in the fast lane.
yeah, and you quickly get back there. But I think, it gave us a lens on what it's like to not, when we are social creatures, to not be social. And I think it may have raised things for individuals that they did not realize were there.
Sure.
And then they wanted a space to be able to talk about that, but they didn't feel like therapy was appropriate.
Right.
So I think coaching offers that space, to talk about things that maybe are not deemed therapy, or people having a difficult time inwardly thinking that they need therapy as well. Like, a lot of what we're taught is that we have to be able to really figure out when someone is speaking to us, do they need therapy? Or is this a coaching thing?
Yes.
Is this a coaching topic? So, and I think there can be a fine line sometimes, but I think if you are a well qualified coach, you are able to kind of help navigate that landscape with someone. But yeah, so I think there is some stigma there for sure. And then I think some people have had fingers burnt. They've gone to folks who have literally, like I said, just told them what to do. Which isn't true coaching. And so therefore they're like, oh, well, why would I go and do that when I can use AI? I can Google, I can find out the answers myself. And then I think the biggest thing, Jen, is people don't know what they don't know.
That's true.
I think it's very, it's difficult, like you said, to know exactly, well, what is this for? What do I use this for? I mean, I'm fortunate in that I do lots of peer-to-peer exchanges. So I get lots of coaching
Right.
for free,
Right.
in exchange for them allowing me to coach them. And now I could not imagine not having coaching in my life.
Right. Yeah. So because there seems to be a lot of coaches out there, and we touched on certification, what do people need to look for to know they're going to a credible source?
So I have to say the coach training has been intense. It's been such a journey. It has been so rewarding in so many ways, and hard work at the same time. So To find a credible coach, I would say that if you can check if they are ICF accredited, so that's International Coach Federation accredited. This is an organization that really is heavily regulating the industry now. You, as a coach, have to obviously go through your coaching course that has to be ICF recognized
Okay.
as one. You have to commit to doing 100 hours of coaching for the first level, for the ACC level, which means that you're kind of almost an entry level coach. If you want to go further, you're looking at 500 hours and then 1,000 hours. So,
Okay.
it's that build
Yep.
up. They make sure that they assess you not only on your knowledge, but they'll also do observations of your sessions.
Oh, okay.
So you will have to get permission from the person that you're coaching
Yes. Okay.
to submit that and receive feedback. You also have to take a big exam. And you also have to go through mentoring.
Okay.
So you have to be able to receive that feedback and really take it on board to adapt and pivot and learn more.
Right.
I think the journey's been huge for me. I've had a lot. I thought I was quite a self-aware individual. I think I've had even more of a self-awareness lens on myself now in a very different way. I think it's not only just owning that self-awareness, but knowing how I use that self-awareness as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that's important. I mean, even though we're midlife-ish, we're still continuing to learn and grow and learn about ourselves, right? And I feel like when we get of a certain age, you can sort of get stuck in a rut and your habits become routine and you maybe not even realize your social cues or things that you take for granted. And sometimes just to have those moments where through the coaching, you revisit yourself or being the coachee that you've had to learn that discipline is very eye-opening. Yeah, that's amazing.
And I think that accountability is key. I think acknowledging the goal is important, obviously, within coaching. And that can vary as well. Like that can be a goal that you are long-term working on. And so almost you have an agreement with your coach that that is what you're focusing on. And you see that a lot in executive coaching.
Yeah.
Or it can be that you are turning up per session and really figuring out what is speaking the loudest to you now at that moment in time. But you almost create a goal every session with your coach. And then the accountability is, as we were talking in like our coaching, our goal setting session earlier when we recorded that, it's really key to really understand what your resources are and then how you're going to keep that accountability, because I think we're all very good at setting goals, but having that accountability is one of the hardest pieces,
Yeah, I don't know if we're good at setting goals, honestly. I mean, I think we're good at thinking about goals. Right?
Yeah,
like I would like to lose weight. I would like to do X, Y, Z, but it's really hard. And even when we would have our coaching sessions, like I knew that I'm like, oh God, I have a call with Claire and I am not prepared I didn't do my homework. Like I had things that I need to follow up on, put some thoughts on paper or to write, a couple actions. And then I say this all the time. I need someone to keep me accountable because again, as women, I think we're very guilty of putting other people's goals and initiative first, whether it's our spouse, our children, other aspects of your life, and you'll sweep your things under the rug and I'll get to that later. It's not my time now. I'll do it later. But having that coach really helps you. And like one of our sessions, I had to have like a tough conversation, like a personal conversation, not a tough conversation, but something that was sort of like bothering me. And, I talked to you about how to approach it we talked about how I could approach it, like a couple scenarios, and I was going to pick one to do. And I knew that, and the timing had to be right to have the conversation right for it to work out as, in favor for all parties. And I mean, just having someone to talk, sometimes I think it's different than talking with your girlfriends because sometimes your friends can just maybe tell you the things that you want to hear or they'll give advice, and maybe that really wasn't a fit for you. And that's why a coach is different because again, like even though Claire and I are friends, Claire never told me what to do. She talked about, my feelings on the matter, the person I was going to talk to's feelings on the matter, what could happen, maybe that what scenario. I think you asked me specifically, how would you like this to play out?
Mm-hmm.
If this could play out to your like advantage of both parties walking away satisfied, what would that look like? And that helped me set the stage of how to get there. So just those little cues
Mm-hmm.
really helped me deal with that situation. So, I mean, again, I think that there's so many ways that you can approach coaching, but it could be something as simple in your life that it has some seriousness to it, but you just don't know how to move around it. Or it could be something really big, like a career leap or growing within, your realm. So, I think that's good to understand that there's certain things that you can work through, and it's whatever you bring to the table that day.
It really is. And I
Yeah.
think just having that space to almost verbalize your thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
it it lands differently
Yes.
when you are saying things out loud. Because I think we can all think things out loud,
Mm-hmm.
but actually saying it out loud is a very different thing.
Oh, for sure.
Just saying it to someone who is just listening
Mm-hmm.
in a safe space can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
Um, but accountability is hard.
Yes.
Accountability is really, really hard.
Mm-hmm.
And, I talk very much about microdosing.
Yeah.
Just, I think sometimes I kind of use gradients in my mind. I also like metaphors. And I feel like a lot of the time, the things that are stopping us from achieving what we want are actually little roadblocks, like little speed humps. But I think we manifest them because it's internal
Mm-hmm.
as hills and mountains.
Oh, for sure.
And I think the difference for me is that shift in thinking it's the mountain. When you say it out loud to someone, it almost makes it the roadblock.
Right.
It's almost part of the battle is that I have said that.
Mm-hmm.
I have verbalized it. I've heard it through my voice instead of in my head.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that is a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it just feels so good just to say it,
Yeah.
just to get it off your chest and say, like, I've never been that honest about a
Yeah.
situation. So, and that's healthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, we are so quick as women to fix everybody else's problems and, be the caregiver to whoever you need to be giving care to. But when do you give that care to yourself?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
that self-care, that self-love, protecting your peace, working through whatever goals and initiatives you have, I think is so important. So, I mean, make sure you find a way to make that time.
And I do see it as self-care. I really
Yeah.
do. I feel like I have a therapist as well, and I go to therapy for self-care. And then when I have my, exchanges with my
Mhm.
peers, I see that as self-care time, and my topics vary all the time. Like
Right.
I will bring to them, can they help me navigate through something through work,
Mhm.
Um, and it may be career focused and things like that.
Yeah.
And then other times it's okay, I've had this happen in my family situation. How can I navigate around this? And interestingly, I always have the answers,
Yeah.
that they're never giving me the answers. I always have the answers, but it's almost like I have the space to work through
Yes.
what feels very muddled
Yeah.
in my head.
That's a great way of putting it. Just having that space to work through because you're right. We have 1,000 things, all those file folders in your head that are open, all those tabs. And until you really make yourself a priority and say, okay, how do I really think through this issue? And maybe putting some of that emotion aside
Mm-hmm.
to think of it level headedly with your partner or your coach, I think is really set you up for success.
Those emotions are important as well, though,
Yeah.
because
True.
sometimes
Yeah.
I think we don't realize the emotion we have attached to a certain action or a certain goal,
Mhm.
Like I'm trying to think of one for myself here so that I kind of keep it to me. But, like I have goals of, okay, I'm going to intermittently fast, Sunday through Thursday so that at the weekend I can then kind of enjoy myself with food a little.
Yeah.
And, it, when I think that in my head, I don't realize the emotions that are attached with it. But when I start talking it out loud with my coach,
Mhm.
I realize that there are lots of emotions
Oh, sure.
that are kind of layered with that, like the guilt,
Mhm.
the guilt of like, I'm letting myself down.
Yeah.
Um, and also kind of like this feeling of, oh, I've got one life, I should enjoy it. Why am
Mhm.
I focusing on this?
Yeah.
Like,
I'm sure it depends on the day, right?
yeah. And then motivation and like what your motivation is.
Hmm.
So there are lots of,
A lot of layers.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's pretty good to walk
definitely.
through that.
Yeah.
Now, is coaching, or maybe it probably depends on network, is it covered by insurance?
No, I don't believe it is.
Yeah.
So I think again, that's an area where often folks will go to therapy, I
Yep.
think, because there's the insurance
Yes.
coverage.
Yeah.
Um, I'd say, and again, I can't speak for the whole coaching
Hmm.
industry, but from what I've seen price wise, is it generally pretty in line with therapy,
Yeah.
in terms of like the price point.
Right.
And again, lots of variation,
Yes, of course. Yep.
variation depending on whether you're doing a group coaching or whether you're
Mhm.
doing an individual coaching, and who you're doing it with,
Right.
and around what,
Yeah.
and what that commitment level is.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
But again, like, is there a better investment than yourself? Right?
I know. That's
Like,
self-care.
right. And
Yeah.
again, we're very guilty of putting others first. And I think I never would have gone down this path if it wasn't for Claire coming to me for some volunteer hours. So don't knock it until you try it. You don't
Mhm.
realize some of the breakthroughs that you'll have. It's one of the best things that ever happened to me, that stage where we, talked through some things, broke through some things. And we don't, Claire and I don't meet as much on coaching now, but I know from time to time I can put my toes back in the water and say, hey, you know, I feel like I need a little nudge here. I want to work through something here. So you can ebb and flow it as you
Mhm.
need. Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah. I know when I first decided I was going to do this, because I'd been talking to my manager at work about it, about whether, it would fit into the kind of work
Yeah.
corporate lens. And at my company a few years ago, there was a focus on it, and then it moved away from that, and then it came back, and then, I feel like it does ebb and flow. And I was like, kind of like, oh, I was like, do I do this? Do
Yeah.
I do the self investment as well? Do I, this is something that really fascinates me.
Yeah.
Do I do it even if I'm not going to use it day in, day out in my daily job? But actually, I do use it.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think ultimately it just makes you a better person, right? You could be a better support partner to your circle, meaning your family, your friends. You know how to deal through things through work. Like you said, because of this coaching, regardless if you used it outside of your relationships or your profession, just that betterment, that taking that time to learn those
hmm
skills about yourself and then
yeah,
how you can deal with others. I mean, everything we do in life is relationship management.
yeah,
Let's be honest.
it
Like,
is.
you're managing the relationship with your children, you're managing the relationship with your spouse, like to listen more than you talk, like, and to find that patience and to really, I'm very guilty of having a conversation, but was I really listening? And
Yeah,
that's
that
something that's so important. Yes, being
being
present.
present is so important for
Hmm.
sure. But also, I think I would hugely advocate on a completely separate note as well, is if you are considering like going and doing further study, to do it.
Yeah.
It can be a self exploration.
Hmm.
I think that's something that I had to kind of grapple with is, okay, I'm going to commit this time outside of work, and it's not like an MBA or, like the MBA
Right.
could be seen as a professional step. You know what I mean? Like, oh, career wise, oh, she's got an MBA. Um, but I think there are things out there that we like feel passionate about, and it's important that we go and embrace those things,
Yes, definitely.
and it's all part of the journey,
Yeah, I
all
love
part
that.
of the development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it just goes back to, it's not too late.
it's
You
not.
can always be on that reinvention
Yeah.
tour. If you have goals or initiatives to do things in life, it's not too late to start.
Mhm.
And as a coach or other things, but on the other side of that, it's not too late to have those conversations and work through those things as well.
Mhm.
So I think we definitely unraveled coaching today
Yeah.
in what it is, and for people to understand if it could be a benefit to them.
Yeah. Hmm.
And I hope that we uplifted people today to say, get that just do it attitude,
Yeah.
or it doesn't hurt to explore, and why don't you try? And there could be things that you need to unearth and want to move forward with, and those bumps in the road that you need to get over. And this could be the answer. So I hope that people, explore it. I hope that people are knowledgeable now of what's out there and if this could be a fit for them and whatever goals that you have, because as we've learned, there's a coach for everyone.
And I just say that, yeah, do not think of life coaching as woo-woo, even though it may seem that way. But do your research. Find the right person for what it is that you are looking for as well. You know, that whether it be a particular subject or expertise or just the right person.
Yeah.
That connection as well, that chemistry between the coach and coachee is so important too. So
Yeah, for sure.
just like when you're trying to find a therapist as well.
And even a family doctor. Like there's so many things in life that you have to figure out who you can gel with.
Yeah.
So it may not be the first one, but do your research. I'm sure word of mouth is, a big one to see where you could connect with and what kind of things you're working through.
Yeah. But also don't be scared. Go and do something. Go and put yourself out there and try something new.
Yeah.
You'll find it will work. I was doing nighttime classes and it was a juggle because my kids had sports after school and I would be on my session and watching them through the car window.
Yep.
So that I was able to do my course, but also like watch them. I was using the crock pot so that we had dinners at night.
Yep.
I was working a full-time job whilst doing the study as well, and then fitting in the hours as well, like late into the evening.
Yeah.
To make sure that I was able to get those 100 hours as well. So I would say it was a good lesson for me as well on how you can actually do things when you don't think that you can.
Yes, for sure. And it's okay to do something for yourself. I can't say that enough. It's okay to do something for yourself and also see your friends and family putting yourself first and lead by that example. So, so if you know someone who could benefit from this conversation today, please forward them this podcast. Like and subscribe where you listen to us and on our social channels to continue to be in the loop. And we want to hear from you.
We do.
Yeah. So if there's something that, if you've benefited from coaching or benefited from therapy, or there's other, strategic initiatives or goal setting applications, maybe outside of coaching that you want to share with the group, drop it in our Facebook group or send a note to us.
Yeah, we would love to hear from you, and we love resource sharing as well.
Yeah.
Part of why we did this podcast and the incentive to kind of start it was that we would find that we were scrambling around trying to find things.
Yes.
And we would love this to be a sharing is caring community where people don't have the bandwidth to be digging in all the time. And if you've got a great referral or a great idea or a hack to something, we'd love to know about it.
It takes a village, ladies and gentlemen, the few gentlemen we may have out there. It takes a village, and the more that we can help each other saves us all a lot of time. So
thank you for joining us for another episode of Unravel and Uplift. We hope to see you next time.
Thanks. Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye.